Welcome to What My Sister Said, the show where three sisters with a passion for the entertainment industry bring our kitchen table conversations straight to you. We dive deep into the world of BL, GL, and queer dramas from Thailand, Japan, Korea, and beyond, while also tackling music, television, and the state of politics today. Pull up a seat, pour yourself a drink, and let's start the conversation.
Hi, everyone. Hey. I want to welcome everyone to What My Sister Said. Today is a very special episode. We are talking about the series Ticket to Heaven. The GMMTV series Ticket to Heaven was full of a lot of discussion, a lot of conversation. And today we have invited many of our friends, some that reacted with Anwi and I, on my YouTube channel, and then other familiar faces you may have seen reacting or interacting with us. And I will introduce them in a second, but just to give you an overview, as you heard in the intro, What My Sister Said is our podcast where Nikki, Anwi, and I talk about our love of all things media, but we have a major focus on BL right now. But we're open to anything. We were watching Ticket to Heaven, and we kind of felt the depth of that conversation, and it really kind of captivated everyone. And so we wanted to take the opportunity to get everyone together and try something a little different. So that is why we're doing it live today. This is something new. I want to go around and introduce everybody. So of course we have Nikki and Anwi. I don't know. Nikki and Anwi, they're waving. We also have Barry, who was part of the reactions to Ticket to Heaven with us. Jaime, who was part of the reactions.
Hello.
We have Yoshi, who I react with all the time, and so does Anwi. And we have Shannon. Yay, everybody knows Shannon. Shannon is TikTok famous Shannon. I know you don't like that, but I love you, so I'm saying it anyway.
That face was great.
Okay, so we are going to do our best to, with all of these people, please be kind to us. Have I done this like this before? Never, ever. But that's okay. Because we're just a bunch of friends who talk a lot. And we're going to do our best to walk through this whole thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is tell you guys what our signature drink is. Those of you who have watched the podcast before, you know each week we have a signature drink, and I want to share it with you guys. So let's see if I can do that. I can. I'm good at things. Bada bing, bada boom. Our signature drink this week is the Catholic Connection. It's a classic martini with gin, dried vermouth. I did sweet vermouth because I just read that now. Orange bitters and an orange peel to garnish. So to all of you, here's our
Mike, can I say something?
Yes, go for it.
Oh my God.
That sounded very boring to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Of course,
I added Saint Germain. But
Of course.
I also, once I tasted it, it was very strong. Something about it went right. So I added a little lemon too. So those were my extras in my.
I have not tried it, so I'm a bit terrified right now.
It's strong, yo. It's strong.
If you have a drink, tink, tink.
It's gin for
Cheers. I have lemon.
Cheers.
Someone said a splash of holy water.
Holy crap. It is. That's straight liquor, y'all. Ooh, we're good. Everything's fine.
Now I'm seeing why my roommate said there ain't no way in hell you're going to drink that.
That was an experience that I will only be experiencing like a couple of times. Okay. We're going to go through a lot of different topics today just to set ground rules. We do have the chat open. Amanda, the lovely Amanda, is our moderator and will be assisting us in the chat. We want you to be interactive, but also there's a lot of us, so we will manage that as best that we can. And also, again, remember, our first time doing one of these, but we hope to do more in the future. Also, in the end, there will be a period. Oh, you can do this, Kelly, where we're going to ask you guys to participate. And I want you to be thinking about it as we go along. I can get there quickly. We're going to talk about some of your favorite things. And so we would love for you to share. And so just as we're going along, here are some of the topics that we'll be discussing at the end. Your favorite scene or episode, your favorite character, most emotional moment, what surprised you the most, which storyline resonated most with you. Those are just some ideas for you to share with us, and we'll come back around at the end and talk about it. Okay? All right. Awesome. That is that part. Okay, let's keep it moving. And I think we'll move into the first discussion point, which is first impressions. Is there anybody who is like dying to talk about their first impressions? For me, I'll just say at the top, I knew this was a P-off project. I knew it was geminifourth, so I trusted it from the very beginning. I also tangentially knew that P-off had some interactions with the Catholic Church specifically because I had seen some things. So I knew he was coming with his own lived experience. I didn't know the extent of it till the end. But yeah, so I was like, we're safe in the hands of these people. That was my first impression. I wish, can you raise hands or something? How do you do
I know. I was like,
Yeah.
is this like Teams? Can I?
Yeah.
All three of us. Okay, go on. You go.
I was just going to say, I really thought going into this was going to be more about like really heavy beating down on homosexuality as a sin. And I found that it was more about the growing relationship between Tanrak and Bot and self-discovery, and most of the shame that we felt in our reaction came from within, not really so much from the story itself, but we just kept feeling certain things, and then it would turn out a different way from what we felt. I thought, but anyway, that was my impression. Like my impression was it was going to be really heavy on the sin, and I don't know that that's what we really got in the story. So, okay, next person.
Yoshi, you go. You raised your hand.
I like Anhui was like, I feel like this is going to be, first of all, it's going to be very heavy. It's going to emotionally destroy us. And I feel like it's going to be like very gay is evil. You're bad for being gay. Like I thought it was going to be very adversarial, and it never, I don't want to say it never felt adversarial, but it wasn't as heavily leaning into that as I was expecting. I was very much expecting to be like this coming into this like Street Fighter match between the Catholic Church and the gays. Like that's what I was expecting, and it didn't really turn out that way. And I'm actually kind of glad that it didn't turn out that way. It actually was kind of weirdly healing that it didn't turn out that way, but that's where my head going in was. I was like, oh, we're going to just all be emotionally destroyed by this, and it's just going to kick us all right in the religious trauma. And it did, but like not in the way that I expected it to.
Shannon, I saw your hand up too.
Oh, I think going in, I was very prepared for it to be, I think specifically very traumatic for me. And then I was curious how they would make it hit the wider audience. So I was wondering, like, is this going to feel very Catholic specific, or have they just kind of chosen a religion to use to represent, religious trauma? And so they really nailed the Catholic part. Like that was, damn. I think what surprised me was the really small moments that broke my heart that I had been through in my life with friends or other people. And they were small moments. And Casey would look and I'd just be bawling. And I couldn't explain why. The one moment on screen wasn't necessarily sad, but it was hitting something else. And so one of the shocks to me was to see that's universal. Like the Catholic Church is called the Universal Church. And I was like, oh, look, even these traumas that have happened to us, it's hits all across the same. And then the other thing that surprised me was the songs they sang, the prayers they prayed, all that stuff in Thai. I did the same in English. So I was like, whoa, weird.
Oh, that's cool. I'm sorry. Let me, Barry or Jaime, did you want to chime in, or it's up to you?
Yeah, I think like tying into Shannon, like same thing like in Mexico, like going into like what was presented was like very interesting to see in a different dialogue, like language. I was like, this is crazy, but it's like similar to everything I went through going through like private, Catholicism while I was there and stuff. That's pretty
Okay.
much it.
Barry,
I
did
did
you have
wanna-
anything? Or go ahead, Nick.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Nikki didn't
You
go.
don't have anything, Barry? Okay. I did want to say, I think my first impressions were less about, because I think, let's be clear. Nikki is a late watcher. She waited. She saw the emotional trauma happening on the screens around her. She did not choose to necessarily dock in until this was presented as a show idea. And then I went in because it is an easily like bingeable show, right? You can do it really quickly. And it is a lovely binge watch. So it's not like something that's a chore to do. But so I came in with a little bit of foreknowledge, like of the big parts that were going to happen. So I don't think that ruined it for me. I actually think it made it better because I knew what I was getting into. But my first impressions of the show are different because I think I was stuck on that first trailer, not the second one, but the first one. And the first one leaned heavily into the shame part of it all, the sexual part of it all. And so I was surprised that this did not do what I thought it was going to do. I thought it was going to lean in those directions where thaibrok was going to be feeling bad every episode because, oh my God, he has sexual yearnings for another man. But it didn't, it told a story, a lovely story. And that part is the impression. That was the good part of it. Like, I was like, oh, okay, we're not, to y'all's point, you're not going to beat you over the head every single episode about how bad you are. We're actually going to tell you a lovely little story. That was my kind of thoughts off the top of my head.
Barry, you don't have to if you don't have anything, but if you want.
I think the show was really good. I already knew it was going to be good, and I already knew it was going to destroy me before I even watched it. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I personally don't have religious trauma because, yes, I have people in my family who are religious, but like, I honestly did not care for religion, and I practice my own beliefs. I just kind of been that kind of person all my life. So I never had religious trauma. I did had experiences with people saying just pray and all this other stuff, but like I did not like honestly care unless like my friends would be like pray for me, and like sometimes you might hear me say like things that are religious, but that's not my belief, but like I say it out of habit. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It hit me emotionally, and just watching other people bring things, their thoughts into it on like TikTok with edits and stuff like that, opened my eyes for some things because of the fact that I was so emotional. I did not notice some things. So I was like, we would look back at a scene and I'm like, oh, that's what happened. I never noticed that, but yeah, I thought it was really amazing, and it's definitely something I would rewatch again. Hopefully, I don't cry if I rewatch it, but yeah.
I think it's really interesting. And the reason I know this is a lot of people, but the reason I was like wanting all of these different voices is I think there's the impact it had on non-religious people, right? Religious people who were not Catholic. The divide between growing up Catholic and growing up Southern Baptist, I do not think I fully understood how different these things were till this experience. Like on the reactions, we had Jaime, and we'd be like, and then I would listen to your stuff too, Shannon, and Amanda as well educated me a lot. And I was just like, And I'm gonna tell you some of the stuff. I'm like, y'all did that? What? That's crazy. Like, not a clue what was going on in Catholicism, and not at all attached to any of that. But the depth at which it is attached to people who are Catholic, and like understanding all those, it was really educational for me, I think. Seeing it, and I think it informed, like I said at the beginning, it informed your response to, and your takeaways too. Yeah. Anyone have? Oh, go ahead, Nick. Were you gonna say something?
Oh no, yeah, I was gonna say it. I agree with you. I think that's probably why. Well, being forewarned of the emotional trauma, like the emotional hits that were coming, I was like, okay, I can do this because I'm not getting hit like week after week, by it. I was like already informed. So I was like, okay, I know this scene's coming. I know that scene's coming. But it is also about not being Catholic and not necessarily having religious trauma, I think, in the same way. Not having somebody who's in power dictate to you what your salvation looks like in those kind of terms, right? In those rigid terms that I think happen in religious spaces sometimes. So but yeah, so I think that's why I was a little hesitant coming to this conversation, because I know everybody keeps saying it's gonna destroy me and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, it was pretty. Like watching it, I was like, this is so pretty. Those colors are great.
I just wanted to throw out there, Kelly, that we were not Southern Baptists. We were Baptists in the South. Southern Baptists.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Let's not do that.
Yes, and so our experience is very different from the Catholic experience, and we were not to say that all Baptists were in a more liberal space or more open space, but the sisters here, our particular church was a lot more open. So this was very eye-opening for us, and we learned a lot in watching this.
Barry, you had something?
I do want to say that I do follow like people who have who talk about their different religious backgrounds, even though we don't share the same beliefs. And I like learning about different religions. I find it very interesting. And I don't know anything about Catholicism. I think I know more about Catholic, because a lot of people went to Catholic schools, or I don't know what my family is, honestly. I know I have people in my family who's Muslim. I wouldn't be surprised if people in my family are Catholic or something. I never asked. All I know is people read Bibles and have crosses in their houses, and would talk about God and spiritual stuff in that sense. So it's interesting to see and learn more things about Catholicism. Is that is that the right word? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think for this, Yoshi, I'm going to give it to you, but also I think it's important to Jaime and Shannon. I think you are the Catholics, right? Who truly know, right? That experience that are up here. Stop it, Shannon.
Experience is a little different.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yoshi raised his hand, and then we'll we still have time. Keep going.
I didn't want to say I wasn't raised Catholic. I was a different flavor of religious. I was raised Pentecostal, which is different.
So many.
But I think honestly when I first went in, I was like, oh, this won't hurt as bad because it's probably going to be super Catholic. And watching it, I was like, oh, cool. No, it's just a different font. Same trauma, different font. So I do think that they did a really good job at both keeping it Catholic, but still keeping the greater theming and emotions that you're feeling, not necessarily specifically locked in to you have to be Catholic to feel to have felt this, to have been here, because I'm kind of in between Anwi, Nikki, and Kelly, and then our two Catholic babies, where I was not raised Catholic, but I do have religious I was not raised in a church that was super open. I was raised in a church where it's like, you're going to learn about the end of the world every week and probably how you're all going to burn in hell. So, like I said, different font, same trauma. But I think they did a really good job at like keeping it specifically Catholic, but also letting other people who were raised in the like religious arena feel those emotions.
Okay, we're coming down to the next part, but Jaime or Shannon, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we move on?
I was, after listening to all of you guys, one thing that did stand out for me was realizing how many people did not know how Catholicism works, like any of it. And that was a bit of a surprise. So just seeing you guys and then everyone asking me questions, I was like, oh, I was like, okay, it is different. Like I guess when you're like in it, you think it's more well known than it is.
Well, I would say Catholicism is well known. So Catholics are, very large, population. I do think that the aspects of Catholicism that were displayed and that are known from Catholics, those are insular things. You go to catechism, you're learning these things. We are not being made privy to the very specific things that are happening within Catholicism. So it's not that people aren't aware, it's like everybody, I would imagine most folks know, Catholics representation, and I might have a person who is Catholic that is in their friend group, but it's not necessarily that you guys are going around being like, this is what we do, and then we do that, and then we do this. I do think that other, like Pentecostals are that's some things that are happening like online today. You know what I'm saying? Like they're always like, hey, throw that church service up, and then you can see all the things that are going on. So I think that's the difference that happens there, because Catholicism has such a history, as but it is an insular history to a certain extent, right? And you have to want to come into that and be a part of that fold in order to know those things that are happening in that space. So that's what I think that is. And it's not, that's neither a good nor bad thing. It just is kind of it's the difference, right? Where I think on the Pentecostal side, the idea of fellowship and like bringing people to Christ is about going out and getting them. You got to go get them. And the way you do that is to look at all the things we do. So that's kind of the difference, I think, in there.
Before we move on, Jaime, did you have anything? If not, we can.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, we're gonna move to our next topic point, which is our most impactful moments. And I'm going to start with Yoshi this time, if that's okay. And then we'll move Yoshi, Shannon, Anwi, Jaime, Nikki Berry. So Yoshi, go.
I think the most impactful moment for me, like if I had to boil it down to like a second, a moment, a quote, it's just I'm not God's favorite son either. That
Woohoo! That
part. Before we did this podcast, I went back and was watching, like, I didn't rewatch the whole show, but I was like, let's watch some greatest hits. And that was like one of the scenes I went back to, and I was like, I'll be fine. I've already cried through this. I'll be fine. Nope, was not fine. Still wasn't fine. Just sitting in my room cutting cheese, sobbing, just sobbing.
Can I add to what you just said, because I wrote down what Max said that line actually translates to.
Oh, right.
Max said that line said, I am not one of.
So people know Max is on TikTok, and he does a lot of deeper dives into the translations that the shows have. So maybe in post we can put his info up here.
Yeah, we'll put him in the show notes so that people.
I love him so much.
He laughed because I keep sending people his way. Okay, go ahead, Ami.
It means it was actually, I am not one of God's beloved sons, which basically is Tanrak telling Bot that I'm deviant like you. Like we are the same in this. So it's a little more nuanced than what we got as international viewers. So it doesn't mean like his specific son, like it could be encompassing of other things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I watched it, I extrapolated
You
that.
took that.
Like,
Yeah, I think so too.
that's where my head went. I was like, oh, he's also saying like, oh yeah, no, I'm also he's basically saying like I'm also a sinner. Like that was the takeaway. Which like
You
again,
got to hear Max say it though, because he says it.
Yeah.
Really
Well, he's a writer too. That's Shannon. Go ahead, Shannon.
Me? Oh, listen, I wrote notes. Because I'm not sure it was like this was the most impactful scene for me, but there was a bunch. It was like a snowball effect, like the one thing that led to the other that led to the other. So, for instance, that scene. It's so funny that Yoshi said this because that scene where he says, "I'm not God's favorite son either." I was watching it and it was hitting me very hard. But when it was Barth behind like the wire, he's in the dark and the blues, and Tanlok is in the light. And then I didn't know which way it was. It was so interesting to me because I was like, is Tanlok going to step out of the light into that darkness with Barth, or is Barth going to come up into the light? And so and as I was watching, I kept going, wow, Barth just understands so fully how he fits into everything. Like he just knows. He knows like this is who I am. This is how I'm seen. And like even if he has anger and everything around his family and all this other stuff, he's very accepting. So when he stepped into the light, I was crying because I was like, that's right. I was like, you guys are both in the light. Like it felt like a really nice moment for Barth because he was being brought out of that dark. But then I don't know but this is a Catholic thing. Episode 3 opens with Tanlok not getting holy water. He's standing in front of the holy water dish and he doesn't receive it.
Oh,
and then
I did not catch that.
Mm-hmm. And then there's him and Barth have a whole conversation about confession. And Barth is like, oh, when's the last time you went to confession? But this is like, no. I'm sorry. That wasn't after that. Was that after that, Kristen? No, that was after the bathroom. I'm sorry. This was after we don't know what Tom Locke did in the bathroom. We don't know when he went into that stall. Sorry. And we're trying to figure out, like, what did he do? Did he do this? And at this point, he's been pretty, like, straight and narrow. What happens after that is he doesn't take the holy water. And then the exact conversation is about confession. And I was sitting there and they're talking about confession. And then Barth says, well, God won't listen to me anyways. And like, if you're Catholic, this was so, everything Barth said in these moments was exactly correct because Barth is considered outside of God's grace. So that connection is like severed. It's like not fully there with him and God. Somebody's like, oh, he's not going to listen to me. Everything he's saying is correct. And so this is one of the lead ups. So when he goes in that moment where they're having that conversation and he's like, I'm not God's favorite son. And he says, I like men. It brought all these other moments of like Tanlok realizing Barth isn't just saying shit. He's not just this angry kid. He was like telling him the truth this whole time in his way. And this is the path he's on. It was really like good and beautiful. But really what I think I loved for maybe a desperate reason, I'm sorry, I'll make this quicker, was the grotto with Mary. So that like cave where they all stood in front of Mary, it's called, we call it a grotto. And throughout the show, they kept having Tunlock go and look at Mary and Barth, and they kept looking at Mary. And I liked it because the colors with Mary were often like softer than the ones when they were looking at like God or images of Jesus or like hellfire. And the fact that Barth went to a statue of Mary and it was so peaceful, and then he called to hear his mom's voice on the voice recorder. And then the conversation they have where Barth is just like, did you ever love me? All the colors there's no dark blue hues or no like bright light hues. It's just peaceful. And then Talak is like, yes, like, of course I love Joe stuff. But Mary's like directly between them the whole time. And I thought that was really beautiful because Talak had a devotion to Mary in the show. He kept praying to her and like asking her for help and intercession and all this stuff. So that moment where he's figuring out what he's going to do happens in front of her. And I liked that. I liked that it happened in front of Mary instead of happening like inside this church that felt suffocating with all of like the, this is the pathway to heaven stuff. It's in front of Mary holding a little baby. And she really represents like all of love for Catholics.
Thank you. You just pointed out a bunch of stuff I did not see. So that was amazing.
Yes.
I think you're next, Anwi. Oh, go. I'm sorry.
I was just saying you would have to think of it like she's his mother through the show.
So speaking of mother, so I think that that's the most impactful thing for me. And I'm going to start with when they were on their little trip, their day out, where they got to really enjoy one another. And then Bart shares his backstory. We finally find out why he's there and what happened with him and how his mother saved him from his father, how he's beaten with the holy word and his mother ends up having to kill his father, right? And that was a very impactful scene. But the one that is built on that really, the one we shared that had us all sobbing when he asked Mom, do you love God more than you love me? And she's like, I love you. And that whole the mother's love in this was the most impactful thing for me, because I think we all, I don't think you have to be a mother to understand that would be something she would say. As religious as she is, that's her baby. And she was willing to kill for her baby. And her saying that to him made him comfortable enough to be able to pray later, which is, I don't think would have happened had that confession not been made to him. I don't think he would have been in a space where he would want to pray again. And that scene really, really hit me. So that would be the most impactful moment for me.
Did I say Barry or Jaime next? I don't remember. Barry, go.
Oh, I was going to say, you said I was last.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry.
I have two scenes, and it's both that everyone mentioned just now. The one where they were in the bathroom thing, and I like that the fact that at first I was so emotional that I did not notice how someone on TikTok pointed out that it was basically a confession, one of those, I forgot what it's called, but where you go to confess. And I found that so interesting, and the lighting and like just the raw emotion was just, it was overwhelming and very emotional. Even the scene before it when they were like intensely just staring at each other, it just felt so like intense with emotions, and it was building up my emotions a lot. And him saying he's not God's favorite and everything just made me like want to cry, which I did. And then the scene with the mom, actually I have three scenes. The scene with the mom, that one was really emotional, and just like the shots of the close-up of his face and how emotional he was getting, and his mom just constantly being like, I love you more than God, I love you more than like basically anybody. And it just reminded me how like a lot of families would actually put God before their children. So it was like so like sweet to see her be like, I don't care about anything else, I just love my baby, that's my number one, instead of being like it's your God, your father, and then your children. Also the scene with the auntie when they met her, I thought that scene was very impactful, and like it was just, I was just so happy in that moment because they got to see, and I wish other people could experience this in life if they haven't, where they got to see someone who's religious but also a part of the community, and they're living their life and religion at the same time instead of separating it, because a lot of people separate it, and it's like it's okay to have both. You can do both. It's fine. There are churches out there that will support the LGBT community. Like, well, I live in a place where it's like a blue state, so like there's a few churches out here that have like pride flags and everything all year round. But it was just nice to see that what was it? Tanrak can see someone be the living proof, and also when the auntie was talking about her relationship to the father, and her just getting out of that church where they were and to do her own thing, compared to how the what was he, like the master or something, who was at the church, and he was there and he's basically, it felt like he's telling Barth, like, don't do it, whatever you're gonna do, don't do it, because like it seemed like he had a bad experience, and he might have liked it, guys, and had someone who was there that he liked, but that person went on to be I forgot what it was, what they were supposed to be.
Oh, become a
But
seminary.
yeah, seminary.
Seminary.
Yeah. But yeah, just seeing the difference between the auntie responding and the master responding in two completely different opposites it was interesting. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Jaime.
Everyone said, "Oh, no, I'm just kidding." Going last.
I know, that's how I feel. I'm like, this is good.
Like, no, all were beautifully said. So I think for me, the more shocking thing was just the imagery when it came to Tanrak and Catholicism. Like, I think anytime he felt shame and anything, like, you always got like a cross. You always got some pushback to like, this is his beliefs and what he believes he should be. I think those were the I think the most impactful for me was when he was gonna get caught with Bart, and he just is like, just like
Yes.
fourth in that moment, just like the way he's feeling, like I been there. So I was like, oh damn, like that shame, like just like, oh god, like don't touch me. Like he even pushes Bart away, like, I don't want this to be a thing that's happening. I think that was like beautifully acted. So I think if anything, just those impactful moments with Fourth figuring out Tarok's character throughout the series, of just like the shame and the I think like the judgment that he thinks would come if people found out that he's a certain way.
Awesome. And Nikki? And as I go around, if you guys don't have anything, don't feel pressure. I just want to make sure everybody has an opportunity. Go ahead, Nick.
I want to add on two berries after Nikki, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. We got time.
I was going to say, I don't know if there was, so I think the most impactful scene for me was the bathroom scene, where he went into the bathroom, and just the palpable idea of like him being upset, not just very, very upset about what is happening in his head, in his body, and the things that he can't control. But I would take it to what you were talking about, Jaime, with the imagery. I think that was my favorite part of this show, was the idea of cinematography and the recurring themes that they would have going on, right? That painting of the person, going up to what is essentially, I guess, glory, right? The big eye and the demons all around. And the way they kept going back to that and back to that, and different settings, different scenarios, right? Different conversations, but it always hit again and again and again. And I think that was the most impactful for me. The way they utilized that in a way that that really told an underlying story, because he uses that at the beginning as a little child. They use it again, right, for you to know, oh, he's still doing this. He's still going down that path. They use it again to show you conflict. They use it again, near the end to show you like, oh, we've resolved this conflict, all of those things. But I do think just the for me, I think the visuals more than anything were what were impactful to me, and that bathroom scene, just the way that they architected it and the way that that it went off, and him being in the center of that shot and going into that bathroom, you could probably feel like what was happening within him, within the way that they put that scene together. So that was the most impactful one for me.
Awesome.
I just wanted to bring it back to the
Okay.
Auntie Lek scene, because I felt personal. I felt when Barry was talking about it, I remember, I've been teaching children for a long time. Most of my babies, a lot of them are in their 20s, 30s now, from toddlers. And I had several of them who are gay come back to me because they know Miss Anwi is a lesbian and they know Miss Anwi is very religious. And so they're like, how do I reconcile those things? And I can specifically remember one whose mother I'm very close to, who was not accepting of her girlfriend. Not accepting of the girlfriend because the girlfriend was not a good person. But she was just like, Miss Omley, how do I make this okay? I love God. I love this girl. Mommy's not okay with it. But she's like in her 20s at this point. And she came back to me. And I'm thinking of it, I'm her Auntie Lek,
Yeah, I was
And
gonna say, you're
we
Auntie
had
Lek.
a wonderful discussion. And I also had to explain to her why Mama wasn't okay with that girlfriend. But like it felt like I'm listening to Barry and I'm like, oh, some of us can be Auntie Lek to some people, that to show them that you can have this relationship with God and still be the person that you are and be true to yourself and understand that your relationship with God is your own and nobody else has a say in that. And so that you just made me think of that, Barry. Thank you.
I think everybody covered a lot of the scenes, so I won't rehash it. I do think I was going to mention Auntie Lek. I think that because I didn't see Auntie Lek coming, which maybe I should have, but they did a really good job of like, oh, this is what's going to bridge the gap, because we were watching it, we were so freaking tense, we were so worried, and what I commend this series in doing is doing not leaning into what we typically get from a story like this. Now, I think again, how you feel about that depends on your upbringing. It depends on your religious teaching, right? It depends on a lot of stuff. So my takeaway from it might be different. Depends on if you're queer or not, right? Your takeaways are going to be different. But overall, I do think the approach was not the typical approach to these kinds of stories, which I found really interesting. And maybe it's because it's Piaf, spoiler alert, it's Piaf's experience. So maybe that's why it's different in the storytelling of it. But I forgot my point. Oh, with the Auntie Lek piece, yeah, I think even if you aren't an Auntie Lek in someone's life, maybe aim to be. I think that idea of like found family is, and that connection, I feel like that is one of the recipes we're losing in this modern age, because us growing up, like I'm talking about me and my sisters specifically, we grew up in community. From 14 up, I was surrounded in a queer space at all times of varying ages. So there was never a time, but I just interacting with BL in this BL space, I have to keep reminding myself that's not everybody's lived experience. I have to keep reminding myself that there are people who are in these isolated spaces, or everything they learn is from TV or from these shows. Like, I don't fully recognize that that's not what everyone has. And it changes, I think, it changes you if you have that or if you don't. And so even if you don't, if you can be that for somebody else, I think that's important. Okay, one more thing, then we got to move on. Go ahead, Barry. Sorry, I didn't say it. Go ahead.
I also want to bring up that with the part with the auntie talking about Tarak's father, it made me kind of guess that the father would be open to possibly to his son being gay, just because how she was talking about him and how close they were and how they left that space together. And in the beginning, I thought something else of his father just because how they were positioning other parents that kept popping up and they kept being very much like very religious, like have kind of similar mindsets. But then she's like, "Hey, your father was like this," and it was just like it was kind of eye opening. Like, oh, he's not who I thought he would have probably been.
Okay, awesome. Shannon, go ahead,
I
Shannon.
just real fast. I had one thing that I liked about Auntie Luck, and it was I had a sigh of relief, and I was like, oh, good, he can see that someone lived, because I was really worried that one, he wasn't going to get out, and then two, he wasn't going to like actually just make it in general. And so I was like, look, someone was there, and they got out, and they're living, and it's beautiful. But the other thing, because you made me think of this, Anwi, your personal relationship with God, not a thing in Catholicism. That's not a. So
I was wondering.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you were talking about Mary, we were talking earlier. I was like, I don't think that that's the same.
Those
No.
intercessories, yeah.
Yeah, Catholicism is very ritualistic. This is what you do. You have a clear path handed to you on how you get to where you need to go and what is expected of you. And then you are given a little pathway of, if you mess up, this is where you go, start afresh, get back on that road. So when I was watching Autistic, I was like, look, I was like, you might not have it, like you might not be in the church, you might not have it all, but she's showing you that there's something that you can grab onto, because that's not a thing in Catholicism, is you being like, well, I have this personal relationship with Christ, and the church is like, that's cool, we're the church, and this is how it is.
Oh wow!
I know we want to move on, but can I just say,
no, it's
quick,
okay.
When my parents, I'm not even going to say when I came out to my parents. When my parents told me that I was gay, my father, they're deacon and deaconess at the church, and my father, the last thing he said to me before I left that evening was, "Don't you let anyone tell you about your relationship with God." He said, your relationship with God is between you and God. No one else has a say in that. And so I've carried that with me for the rest of my life. Nobody else gets to get in here.
Know that.
And I think that that's what makes my relationship so strong with God, because my father, who was a deacon, was like, and he didn't fully understand. He didn't understand me being a lesbian at that time, but he knew nobody else gets to tell me I don't love God and God doesn't love me. So yeah, that's always been very strong for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that makes me want to cry a little bit. Okay. No crying in baseball. Okay.
Get it together.
Never
Next.
told us that. Ooh, okay. Well, it does dovetail into religiousness and queerness. And on this round, I think I really want to, if you have like a really strong thought about it, let me know, and we'll jump to you. I know you do, Shannon, which I love you for. You're the best. Go, Shannon, go. And then Yoshi after Shannon. I feel like you.
Okay.
Yes. I feel like yes.
Okay. So with the religiousness and queerness. Okay, so one of the things, it was hitting me really hard watching it, and to kind of tie it onto like still like tying to all this. I really loved Barth. I feel like a lot of people really watched Tanlok and they were like, wow, look at this, he's discovering this. But one of the things that was just so raw to me was Barth being raised in an incredibly religious environment, seeing all this, and so fully knowing who he is. And then not only that, but accepting what that meant for him, even just spiritually. I have such a soft spot for him, but with Auntie, like what I thought about with him in that moment was that he got to see the softness of religion in this queer space, because he didn't have that. Because that was what stood out to me, that was with his anger, with like when he asks his mom, do you love me more than God? Because she didn't in all those moments in order to get them out of that situation. She wasn't going to risk divorce and all this stuff to get them out. And so, and it was the idea that like it was better to die by the hands of her husband being beaten and do all this stuff than to like sin. And so the kid that was living with that on top of him went, this is just who I am, and I'm not going to be crushed by this. And so I really love that, because that's a really, I think, especially for queer Catholics, that's something that's really hard, because there is no like, all right, we can unify the two. You can't with Catholicism. So you get crushed by it. And I liked how the show was showing people who had found ways of just like accepting who they were and living, and that they weren't crushed by this idea of like that sin is going to destroy you and can take your life.
That's beautiful. Everybody making me want to cry now. Okay, go ahead, Yoshi.
So I think for me personally, I was raised in a setting where it was not acceptable to be both queer and religious. Like those just were not two circles that could ever cross. Those were not things that existed in the same place. If you were gay and religious, if you were gay, you were doing the religious part wrong. Like that's how I was raised. So I think for a while there, for like a really large chunk of my life, I cosplayed, I guess you could say, as a religious person. Like because I spent most of my 20s going to church every week, but like the actual like examination of that, of like how I actually feel and how I like look at the universe and God and my relationship with such a thing, was just never a thing that I examined. I just shut it off. Just fully, that's not a thing, because I'm being queer, so I can't do the other part. Like I'm out here in these streets talking about being a gay boy. I'm pretending to be a ferret and talking about wanting to be on Fort's shoulder. Like I can't be that and religious. Not a thing that you can do. So, I'm gonna before I started talking, I almost pre-cried because of what I was thinking about what I was gonna say. It's actually been really recently that I've started. Get it together, girl.
It's okay. Feel your feelings.
That I have started re-examining that through losing somebody very important to me, because I needed to be in a world where there was a possibility that I could see that person again. And I feel like this, like, it's a BL, so you wouldn't think, oh, it's just a TV show. You can't really like get that much out of it. But I'm like, this was actually kind of healing that piece of me, because it was like, no, you can like examine that part of your life again and find out where you fall on it. And like we're still going through that. We're still digging those trenches, girl. But like we're in them, and I wasn't 6 months ago.
Thank you for sharing that. It's kind of crazy. Not to get it together that you shared that, because literally she was on my mind, as like just on like it just in that moment she was on my mind. And then you said that and I was like, whoa, some woo-woo stuff's happening right now. I was literally thinking about, I'm going to say Sarah because we need to say her name and remember her and love on her. But I was sitting here thinking about how we had intended to do
I
this.
didn't think I could say it.
No, say her name. That is our friend. But I was thinking about, in the moment right before you talked, I was thinking about how much she would have added to this conversation. Her very specific experience having a pastor as a father, meeting her family, and for the first time fully understanding what she meant by all of it. Just in one afternoon, I was like, oh, I get it, Sarah. Everything she tried, it's hard to tell you. And I think that's true for probably you and your experience too, Shannon. It's hard to say it without experiencing it. So we can hear you, we can hear your stories, but until you're in that room with these perfectly nice people who seem so loving, but there's a point where they draw the line You're not living if
Mhm.
unless you're living in with God. And I was like, ooh, oh, after the celebration of who this person is, like I never. It is when we talk about religion and queerness and all of this. In our family, we didn't experience those things because I think my parents were very good about where they picked where we went to church. There were problems. We left our church, but that was not the problem. And then when we created something on our own, that definitely wasn't the problem because it was us creating it. So my connection to those things, although I know them tangentially, we didn't see that in our specific, but there's levels of it. Ami has shared there were levels of it, to be fair, but it wasn't like the the pressure wasn't like pushing down in that way.
I think there were levels of it, Kelly. I also think that, let's say, our experience is specific to our parents. I will say
I was
that
getting ready to say
in
that.
that
You're
space,
absolutely right.
it wasn't that the space was exceptional, right?
Oh,
it was
right.
the idea. Our parents raised us with an idea about religion that was very much about the idea of a personal relationship and not letting other people dictate what that meant to us, right? And so I do think they laid that groundwork where we could feel free to have that relationship on our own terms, not necessarily everybody in the same spaces that we grew up in.
I want to push back on that just a tad. Because everyone in that church, because they all knew that I was lesbian. And whenever somebody who was my person, like they could tell who were my people that came to the church, they're like, "Oh, Ami, your friends are here." And they were very loving and very kind
like
and very open. Ami, I think your friends are up there in the balcony. And,
you know what?
And they were always cool to me. Nobody ever made me feel any kind of way about who I was.
I don't think I'm couching this in the idea of queerness in that space. I'm couching this in the idea of acceptance in that space. There were situations, not necessarily centered around queerness, where there would not be accepting folks in that space. And
there are people.
Yes,
there are definitely people.
You're saying the structural, as a whole,
they were welcoming to everyone that came in the door. And also, I do want to agree with you too, that our parents played a role in that, because if they invited somebody from church to the house, they made clear my daughter might have her girlfriend, fiance, whatever there. If you're not okay with that, you're not welcome in this home. So yes, our parents did play a role in that. Yes.
That's so nice.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say too. Because I'm like, your parents boggle my mind, because I didn't come out till my grandma died. Like that's where I'm coming from. I was like, oh, okay, we're good now. Like that's where I'm coming from. So when you guys talk about your parents being like, oh yeah, like mom and dad were great. We had all the trans kids, all the gay kids, they're all over at our house. We adopted one, moved them in. I'm like, my grandma is rolling in her grave. She's digging herself 6 feet further down, because of the way that I am existing now. So I'm like, that does not jive. Just not, those two do not live in the same universe for me.
This whole conversation is making me think of something that I realized after I had to take massive steps back from my faith and get a much more solid grip on my acceptance of my sexuality. Was people would always be like, in like movies and stuff, or like romances, they'd be like, "Oh well, if you're in hell, that's where I'll go." Blah blah. I was raised Catholic. That's not where you went. And so, like, it didn't matter if you.
Where do you go?
Yeah,
So, like, in Catholicism, like, if you love someone, you're working to get them to heaven, and you're getting to heaven. And if they go to hell, sorry, but like, I'm going here because God's got to be at the top. And so, when I took steps back, my anxiety improved 1,000-fold. And I just had so much acceptance. Like, I was like, yeah, you know what? If I die, according to my faith, I'm going to hell. And then with losing Sarah and everything, and then watching the show, oh, I'll probably cry. I did have a moment where Hanlock was like really struggling with all the hell stuff. I was yelling a lot of stuff at the TV, okay, while I was watching. And then I had this moment where I was like, yes, but with this understanding of Catholicism, I was like, all the people I love will be in hell. So that's where I want to be. I'm like, if this is how it works. And it was it. And I was like, oh, I get it. I get those romances and all that stuff. Or when Barth is asking his mom, do you love God more than me? Like, is this or that? It's the idea of like, I'll be where you are. Because the need to get to heaven is so intense in Catholicism that like we even have purgatory. And I remember my religion teacher always saying, if you get a toenail in purgatory, you're good because you're getting to heaven no matter what. You just have to make it to purgatory. And it like the intensity around getting to heaven is so insane. And that they would tell us hell is not empty. There's people in it. And it's a choice. I remember being told this. It's a choice if you go to hell. So, and I took
Wow.
that choice. So here I am. Cheers.
Wow, we are learning so much. This is great, though. And I'll say,
Barry has her hand raised.
I am.
Barry has their hand raised.
Give me 1 second, then I'll move to Barry. Okay. I'll say I'm gonna in this moment channel my Sarah-ness and say that it was very helpful hearing that from you, Ami, about Dad, because I don't think this is a religious thing, but I have already talked to everybody here about identifying as ace. That's something I found out recently about myself, and I've never discussed it openly in any way or with the rest of my family outside of my sisters. And I don't know why. I think my parents wouldn't be able. It would be too hard for them. I know you're listen to connect with what that means. I don't care how accepting your parents are. I think they would be better with me saying I was just straight up lesbian and that's it, than saying that I was ace, because that confuses them. And it will confuse them. And I know that in advance. But like I never knew Dad said that to you. And so I think I needed to hear that in this moment. Okay, go Barry.
Oh, wait. Just one thing. Your nephew and you should have some conversations. That's all.
Oh, really? Okay. Good to know. Go ahead, Barry.
I do want to bring up, I saw a medium on the TikTok, and I thought about trying to contact them so they could talk to Sarah. But yeah, and that was like yesterday. But yeah, just like seeing everyone here, just like today before we started, I thought about Sarah being next to like Shannon at the bottom or something, and like her just like I kept hearing her voice and her talking, and even though other people were talking, and I was just like, I feel like she's talking to us. But yeah, what was I gonna say? For me personally, I practice witchcraft. Well, I try. I'm not good at like practicing things. But I practice personally. I believe in witchcraft. And I have certain practices that I don't do often, honestly, but I'm trying to. And, if I brought that up in my house, I could not do that in the house I was raised in. Like my grandmother, she was like, you can't do that in my house. You can do it outside, but not in here. And I have been told I was going to hell before by a girl in my school because I'm pansexual. And she was like, you're going to hell. And I'm just like, first of all, look at your life choices. It's horrible. Like, are you sure? I'm like, I'm okay if I go to hell. I guess I'm okay because like Shannon said, like all my friends are gonna go there apparently, so I'm fine with that. And I've lost my train of thought, but yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I wanted to clarify something.
Go ahead, Shannon.
I saw Jabo said like how gay is a choice, so I wanted to clarify because this actually came up at the show in one of the confessional scenes. Tunlock is trying to decipher everything, and he's confessing his relationship and all this stuff. And the priest says, or it is also before this, he's like, it's not a sin to have feelings. He's like, but it's what you choose to do with your actions. So when I said like, oh, I made the choice, like you choose to go to hell, I made the choice. Not that I chose to be gay or that it's that I have a fiance. We're raising 4 kids together. This is the life I've chosen. And the actions themselves is what's the sin. And so it is in that moment, I literally sat there and I was like, holy shit, he just said, hate the sin, love the sinner, which was a huge thing that hit the Catholic Church for ages, where they were like, no, we don't think you're bad. We just can't agree with your lifestyle. We just can't agree with your sin. And then even when Tanlak came back in the end and he's talking to the priest, and Tanlak said, like, I'm still afraid that I can't get into heaven. And the priest still cannot comfort this guy and be like, don't worry. He goes, God will always give you a path. And it was just so frustrating to watch. Like, and I think it represents about how a lot of us feel, where it's like, okay, but that path, it comes with like denying our whole life. And, like for me, it would be, I couldn't have the relationship I have. I couldn't have this beautiful family. Like everything would have to be cut off. And I would have to acknowledge and admit that all of this is wrong and a sin. And so in that moment, even with the priest, I was like, God, this just makes me want to like, I get so mad. But it's also, but it was so funny, but they added that in because I was like, damn, they even had that in Thailand in the 90s in the Catholic Church. I was like, that really hit everywhere.
Yeah, it also hit the Pentecostals.
I was going to say that's a common phrase across
that's
religious
universal.
sects. Yes.
That was fun.
Oh gosh, we need to say, let me not take us off topic, but we're moving into the director's story, which is pretty broad. I think are we? Yes. I think it's pretty broad. So I'm just going to interject this into that, just piggybacking off of what you said, Shannon, because I think specifically this being Piaf's story and him being Thai is so interesting to me. And it coincides with the reaction from a huge chunk of the Thai audience that I was really interested in, because so many, it's one thing to be Christian and not Catholic. It's another thing to just not be Christian at all and be like, what are y'all doing over there? Like, there were so many Thai people who were just like, I don't get it. Like, that's weird. And to not be the dominating religion in a world that is so full of Christianity being the dominant religion, to see people who are, and also to see some of the very interesting reactions of people who maybe aren't even practicing Christians, but can't handle the fact that you are not the dominant religion in this conversation in Thailand. And you do have to back it up. Like there was this, there were a lot of people that I saw react in ways that I was kind of surprised by, because I'm like, that most people there do not practice this faith, nor do they really care if they're like honoring your religious beliefs, because it's not their religious beliefs. And there is kind of a colonization kind of feeling to some of these conversations. They were like, well, you have to respect my religion. I'm like, do they do? Because I don't think you guys are respecting Buddhism all that much. It is treated like tchotchkes and fun fare by a lot of people in Western countries. So I'm digressing, but but it was just, when we talk about Piaf and his very specific experience in Thailand, being in this Catholic school and the authenticity he could bring to that, but also the connection of being Thai and Catholic and what that actually looks like, and how many Thai people are just unaware that this is even a thing, and what it looks like and how it's being experienced, was really interesting to me overall. And so, yeah, I'm going to do this again. Somebody has, go, Nikki.
Yeah, can I ask a question? So my recent foray into fandom in general, right, has brought me into Thai fandom spaces and also Korean fandom spaces. And I noticed that there is a religious undertone in Korean fandom spaces that is very much Christian tinged. I'll say that.
Mhm.
Like tinged is a Christian base. So I was just wondering, what is that ratio of Christianity in Thailand? And is it very small? Because it is, and it maybe it goes back to that idea that you just said about colonization, right? And that they can claim, right? The claim is very big for Thailand that they were not colonized by Europeans, I think. And I'll make that
Yes.
caveat statement. Yeah. So is that where the ratio of Christianity, or the smaller ratio of Christianity, comes into play versus what's happening like on the Korean side, which again, you know, I feel like Christianity has a very larger footprint that's happening in that space, within that cultural space.
Can I say what Amanda said? That 1% of Thai population is Christian
Wow.
Wow.
as of
Only
2023. As of
That
2023.
explains so much.
Yeah,
That
about the
explains
reaction
so
to
much.
this. Yeah. That
Mhm.
totally gets okay. Just a general question I was wondering.
Any other thoughts on this one? I'll just open it up.
Oh, actually, I had to keep reminding myself when I was watching. I was like, this is based on someone else's experience. I was like, I can't be mad at the ending
Mhm. Yeah.
because I didn't know it was going to happen. I was not confident that Tomlin was going to make it out. And I was like, this is someone else's experience. I just got to move through. Um, but it was wild, and I kept wondering what the Catholic conversation is in Thailand, because I know what it is here, and I know what was happening through the different years in the Catholic Church, during this time. But I was like, what was it like in Thailand? How was it impacting there? What's happening? I was so curious about all of that.
I'm sorry. Was somebody else about to talk? I was gonna say too. Oh, I lost it. Just also overall, the director's choices. Since it's such a broad topic, I really like the coloring of this series. I like the cinematic choices that were made of the series, and also there was this conversation about why do they keep playing Disney like music. But I think it was there's a first scene when the very opening when Barth comes in to the church, and there's a tonal shift, and it feels kind of like this Disney Prince kind of feel. But I do think that is kind of if we look at the archetypes of like these characters, there is kind of a play on that idea. It's subversive, but there's kind of like this play on like specifically Tanrak. He's supposed to be this idealistic character, this almost prince-like character, right? He's handsome, he's beloved, he does all the I feel like that people were kind of like, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't fit. I'm like, no, I think that's on purpose. I think there's a theme that's being like kind of tied throughout this. And then also the imagery of that bananas painting. Oh my God. That painting was bananas. And maybe it's bananas to me because I'm not Catholic. I did have a lot of conversation in our reactions about all the white Jesuses. It was overwhelming as a Black woman.
There was a lot of
We do
white
not have a
Jesus.
lot of white Jesus in our churches. We are not inundated with so much white Jesus everywhere. But that painting too, the choice of that particular painting being the central focus, and that painting just being brought back to us over and over, because it's just the ravaging in hell, right? As someone ascends, it's just so dark. It made me think of Pani.
But
And
also the different ways that they
Parks and Rec.
presented that painting, because sometimes it was dark, but like towards the end it was lighter, brighter. It was like a more I think they were trying to make it more positive towards the end.
Yeah, that was that was my impactful.
Yeah.
That was my impactful scene. That painting coming up again and again and again to show the different places that the story
Mhm.
would. It was like marking the
It
path
was.
of Tanrak
Right.
throughout that story. And yes, that painting was banana pants. I don't think it's hell. I think those are demons / the troubles that are trying to get you while you are ascending
like,
to the place you need
Yeah.
to go.
Temptation.
Those are the
it's
temptations.
temptation.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
hell.
Because
That's
you
the
were-
world trying to come
Oh,
at you.
Because Kelly was really
Gosh.
bothered by it the whole time we were watching it. It didn't affect me the same way it affected you. And I was like, what's going on in that painting that's making Kelly so? It was a weird painting to me, but I didn't
That was
understand
the
why
world.
it was
Yeah.
grabbing you the way it did.
I
And
think
when it
it's
was brighter, I saw something different in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think throughout it was just like constantly like dark and airy. That's all they kept showing it. But at the end, I did feel like there was a big shift in it. It felt different. And I was like, it feels like they kind of changed the painting a little bit. Like, what's going on? It
Yeah.
was brighter, happier.
I think it was the change in the character's perspective. That painting said one thing to him. It was a
Mhm.
marker of his parents leaving him,
Mm.
right? And his baseline decision that he was going to dedicate his life in order to see them again, which
Yes.
I don't want to go into why you would let a child make
Ooh,
those kind of
Jesus.
decisions in that way. It is very
Mm.
upsetting to me that you would be like, sure, bet. You know what you should do? Become a priest so you can see your mom and dad again. Weird behavior. But
Catholic behavior, though, right?
yeah,
Well, just tell you what, it's not even like see a priest. He was also praying the rosary. Daily devotion of the rosary, you're promised you will go to heaven. That if you pray it daily, when you die, you will not die in a state of like mortal sin. You'll have the opportunity to get out of it so you could go to heaven. And I thought this is kind of ironic. One of the other promises of the rosary, if you do the devotion, is that it will lessen. Okay, so there's the temptation that is given to you and give you strength to overcome temptation. And I don't know if this was the Catholic in me. You're going to have to tell me, but there was a lot of scenes, especially the one where they're eating the food and Barth is like going like this to his thumb and Tunlock is watching him. And I saw a lot of people saying, oh, Barth knows what he's doing. But I think right at the moment when he's like cleaning off his finger, he recognizes what's happening in Tunlock.
Yes.
In that moment, I watched Tunlock and I went, oh, right now, Tunlock can only see him as a negative temptation. Something that is going to destroy him, bring him down. One of those creatures in the painting coming up to snag him. And it was so. And then what happened? And then it switches. You start having more of their interactions in the light. And then the next time, another time they have that interaction in the dark was in the room. And then the priest is coming to find them. And the priest is standing out in the light. And they're in this dark. And Tomlok is freaking out because he's around all the temptation and everything. So it's I would say we've all probably gotten through that, where you have the panic attack about the thing that's happening, but it's very real. Like in that moment, almost not being able to see someone as a person, but just seeing them as your obstacle.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and Jaime was helping us with this too. Like, I feel like Catholicism is very much check the boxes, which is so not anything relatable to me. But it's like you say it 10 times. You go, you do this, you do this, you do this. These are your paths to heaven if you just do these things in this order, in this way that we have prescribed to you. We have the magic book here of how you get to heaven. Just do these things.
Mm-hmm. And then the thing that I just want, the confessional too, like it was brought into like, you have love, but it's kind of the whole like, cool that you are this way, but like don't act on it. It's like, we're fine with you with that, but like the sin is in if you actually do something about those feelings, which is the thing that he's struggling with the whole series.
And
I want to see, even outside of the Catholic Church, in a church where I felt like I was accepted in the church, I felt like I was accepted in my family. I explained to you all that school was the place. I was in a very religious, and people wouldn't know, but the music department in the school that I was in was very religious. That's where I felt that I wasn't accepted. And that's when I felt that I need to understand more about God and homosexuality and all of that. And I ended up going to the Unitarian Church to get classes on that. But so that's just to say, it might not matter how much love and acceptance you have around you. Somebody's going to throw that at you it's still not okay. And you might internalize that it's not okay. Because I had a lot of love thrown at me.
Yeah.
And I still felt like it wasn't okay.
It was now the director's story. Is he Barth? Everyone kept saying that.
Yes, he's Barth.
Barth. Okay. I'll tell you what, I resonate with Barth so much because and then when I heard his backstory, I went, okay. But it's like this idea that that person who is so awful and horrible, like Barth's dad, is going to get himself into heaven, but somehow you're not. Because he's hitting these marks, because he's saying, he's there and he's saying this prayer, he's making you pray it correctly, but he's going to go beat your mom afterwards. He's probably going to go to confession. Like, all he has to do, I hate to stop someone else's question, all he has to do is, what was it? If you confess, like on your deathbed, you go to purgatory. In purgatory, you work off like your sins. You have to pay for the sins you've done. Catholicism is really focused on suffering and like all this kind of stuff. But Bart's anger, I was with him through that whole thing because that was me as well. Because I was like, this is bullshit. How are you, this horrible person who does these horrible things, going to get to the same place as me? Just because you do this, and this. And the fact that no one is going to do anything about it. The fact that Barth was stuck in that hell, with his family and his mom, and no one was going to do anything because divorce was so awful, so horrible that, like I said, she would rather die. She would rather be beaten and all this stuff and die at it than sin. And it's just, I was with Barth on seeing his reactions to so many things. The part where he yells at Tomlock, where he says, "What has God ever done for you?" He's like, "Why do you keep praying? Why do you keep doing this?" Oh, and then I wrote down, then Tomlock goes to Mary. That hit me so hard. Then he's at the grotto with Mary, and it's like this comforting, peaceful place.
Can we use Shannon's comments to move into the next one?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because it's about your favorite.
The character deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Shannon, perfect segue.
Because I agree with. So my favorite character was Bart. I don't know if I necessarily identified with him, but I felt like out of all the characters, even with the amount of trauma that he suffered, like he was the one that I felt but even though he was made out to be the bad guy I do find it interesting in this, I want to say across the board, I do find it interesting in this series that you walk in looking for the bad guy. You're like, who's going to be the person that I get to pin all of the sadness, trauma, everything, it's your fault on. And there is no bad guy. They're all human beings who do things based on their beliefs, the things that they've, done in their lives. If there is a bad guy, it's Bart's dad, but he's not really a character in this story, right? But I think that Bart walking into that situation, feeling othered in that situation, and still rising above all of that to be who he ultimately is going to be, right? Which is a balm for Tanrak in his time of need. That was what made me love his character the most. So
I have one small thing you made me think of this. But when Barth is talking to his mom and he's like, I should be in here and you should be out there. Tying into this, what I was thinking of is the idea that the whole thing, I was like, Barth just knows who he is. Like, he knows where he stands with God and all this stuff. And I was like, thinking about it in that sense. I'm like, oh, because he does love his mom more than God. So, like, to him, like, oh, I should have been the one to, kill dad because I don't care if I go to hell, but you do. And so, like, it should have been a switch. I was like, that was one of those things when I was just like, God dang, when I was watching this. Barth really he understood so much, and he was, so yeah, it really was breaking my heart.
Oh,
so can
Sorry,
you were the question one who we resonate with. We're talking about characters right now,
right?
Just can I say who I resonate?
Yeah.
So I resonated. I feel like the most with Tanrak. in that I know throughout my life, trying to figure out where I stand with God, even though I've been told by people that I respect and love that I was okay with God, I had to take that class to understand that it was okay, that people misinterpret scripture. I don't know what others feel out there, but I had to take a class to teach me about scripture and what God was really actually saying and all that. I feel like Tanrak had all this stuff on him. And I've been taught these things, and I need to understand. And he's felt guilt in this love that he's had for all these years, still felt guilt at the end, And
Yeah.
so that is the person I don't feel guilt in my life now. I know that God loves me and I know that I love God, but I think that that's who I most resonated with in this story, because there was a time in my life where I was Tanrak. And it was beautiful to, even if I don't know that the priest was absolving him of whatever, but I feel like at the end, Tanrak felt that. You know what I mean? I feel like at the end, Tanrak felt that he loves who he loves and he married who he married, and God loves him. That, I think that's what he took from that at the end. And I know that that's what I take. And so it was very special to me to watch this character go through what he went through in this series.
Yeah, I think what's so special again is that everybody can have like their own specific experience with it and their own takeaways based on where they are in life. And so it's so easy to pick Tanrak and Barth. But I'm trying to think, are there, we could all sit here and talk about those two all day, but I think that Auntie Lek was mine. To me, that character was what turned that whole situation around. And I don't know that we would have gotten the ending we got if Auntie Lek had not existed. And so I thought that she was super important to the story. I also wish I had time, and I don't know if people in the chat watched some of the interviews with Piaf. So I'm so curious where he sits today. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got their own path. There are people who, walk away from the church completely. Like, it's at different degrees. Some walk away from church, some walk away from God. Like, all of it is valid in its own space. And I just, since this is his story, does anyone know where he sits? Where he's at this point? Because go ahead, Barry. Do you know?
I'm pretty sure I think someone in our group chat said he's still practicing. And if that's true, I'm pretty sure he still is. And if that's true, I would say he would remind me of the Auntie Lex, because the way he's constantly guiding people.
Okay. Amanda said he is I thought so. I've seen him do vacations and go to churches. And so, and I saw that before this and I was like, oh, interesting. I'd be like, what's Piaf doing in the Catholic Church on his vacation? Because usually you see people going to make merit. Like every Thai actor I see going to make merit. And then I would see Piaf and his husband like chilling in the church. And I was like, what's that about? So, okay. So he is still practicing. That is really... I need to watch those interviews. I'm fascinated.
I will say the one other character who was a punch to the gut and hit me really hard. Was his name Kongdek, the best friend?
Yes,
I was going to talk about him too.
Yeah. Man. Actually, the scene that made me bawl my eyes out, I could not stop crying, was when they meet with him at his first mass, and they're just talking, and he makes the joke, and he's like, hell's hot. So, and I was crying. One, my brother was in the seminary, and but also I just had this moment where I was like, well, it actually fucks up everything. Like, you lose these people when you have to accept this about yourself. You lose these people, and I started crying because I was like, I lost so many people. I had to get out, and I had to do this, and I was like. He's like those friends I had. And a lot of my friends are priests now. And I'm like, we used to do game nights and we used to do this. And I'm like, would they come to my house now? Would they sit with me and my fiance and my kids? And it's also that fear of like, do I want to find out? Like, is that something I want to know? So might cry a little. That scene hit me really hard. And also especially because a lot of this, I watched a lot of my friends go through the seminary, go through vocational centers. So you like enter when you're like 16, 15, even younger. A lot of kids in not great situations go there. They finish out high school and then you go to the seminary and your college is paid for and all this other stuff is done. And my brother is in this. He finished out high school in it and is now in college. And I kept yelling at Hunlock the whole time I was watching. I kept going, like, there's a life outside of this. I'm like, you have no clue because you haven't experienced anything. I'm like, but there's a world outside of here. So those two characters specifically, like being stuck in that, they hit me really hard.
Go, Yosh.
Kelly, can you touch
Oh.
on real quick what Kong said though? What the
I was going to.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's
Then you can go.
That's
Yosh.
why his
I'll be
character
very
touched
fast.
me so much.
So what the actor who played Kondak was really interesting to me. He said after his scene where he gets mad at Tanrak, he went and cried. And he said because the way he's playing that character is we had plans. We had this whole future rolled out together. So in the same way you're talking about feeling abandoned, Shannon, he was coming from another side of it, feeling abandoned by Barth, saying, I watched you this whole time. I knew exactly what was going on. You never shared with me. You never talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you left me. And so there's this whole other piece of it. So it was so, because people got super mad at Kondak, and to hear the actor, yes. Oh, people were mad.
That's what I was saying.
He's just a kid.
But that
They were
reading
mad.
of it, that was the reading that I had. Like, you messed up our friendship because you didn't trust me enough to tell me who you really are, to share with me your things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was that reading. I actually endeared that character to me when he got mad. Because I was like, oh, you're mad for the right reasons. You're mad because that's your best friend and you're supposed to spend the rest of your time together. And he didn't, he just kind of, decoupled from you and went and did whatever.
Like he didn't want to know. He didn't want to find out if you would leave him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yesh.
I also wanted to talk about Kondak a little bit because I very much had, I think Nikki was the one who said something about this earlier, but I was like, that character, I felt bad about it at the end of the show because that character, the whole way through, I was like, he's about to do some mess. He's about to do some mess to these boys. I can see it. I can feel it. I can smell it a mile away. The whole time I was like, he knows, he doesn't know, but he's like kind of saying, I see you. I see you. And like, I'm like, he's going to go tell the priest. He's going to tell the coach guy, he's going to tell somebody, he's going to blast it out to the entire school. I was like, I don't know how much mess this boy is going to make, but he's going to make some mess for these two. And he never did. He got hurt. He got sad. He never got messy. And I'm like, I kind of feel a little bad about how I looked at you because I kept if you go back and you watch my reaction the whole time, I was like, about to do some nonsense. You about to do some nonsense. I can feel it. Don't mess with me, little boy. I can feel it.
That's why I said Jaime, because you kept saying that. You were like, don't do it the whole time we were watching it. And I was like, why does he think he's gonna do something? But that's the feeling that you had too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Jaime, you've had a similar experience where you told a person who you trusted very deeply, and then they immediately went and told somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of probably a universal queer experience, but like I definitely like superimposed that little bit of trauma on that baby, and I was just like, I can feel you gonna do some mess. I can feel it in my soul, and he never did, and I actively felt bad. I thought about that little boy at the end of the show because like he actually wasn't like a terrible human being. Like,
yeah, I wish I had talked about it more in some of the reactions and stuff, or the videos I made, because I was watching so many people like read him. They were mad at that. And I'm with you. I was like, they were mad at him for yelling. People get really connected with different characters. and they have a hard time seeing beyond that character to a holistic story where everybody is experiencing something at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's not just about protect this one character or actor. Sometimes they get the actor and the character real confused. So I wasn't sure if it was like a fourth projection of like protect fourth. You're being mean to fourth. You know what I mean? I don't know how much of it was that, or they were seeing themselves at thought-provoking and they were feeling like Kondak was yelling at them. I don't know, but there was a lot of people who had a hard time. And Nikki, I saw you unmute, but then I also want to move into the next one.
Yeah, and
Barry.
But I was just gonna say, I think they were looking for the bad guy, and there were no bad guys.
That's what
they were doing. You just were like, that's easy target. Let's do that one, and it never panned out the way you wanted it to.
I think they were also.
Oh, sorry. One quick thing. This is something that drives me nuts all holistically with Thai BL or BL in general is people are always looking at it in the binary. There's a good guy and a bad guy. And so when I say, do you really want complex stories? Complex stories are not in the binary. They have these shades of gray to them, and you are forced to then sit with that. And that's what this show did to me. Go ahead, Yoshi, and then we do need to move into the next one.
I was just going to say, I think it was a lot of people superimposing their own trauma on thought-provoking, and so that character making thought-provoking feel bad was making them feel bad, and so they were taking that out on him. I think that's where that was coming from personally.
Okay. All right, let's talk about themes that stuck with us. Barry.
Oh, I was gonna say something before, but I forgot what it was.
That's okay.
The thing I guess I'll answer this one. The thing that stuck with me, honestly, I'm not sure because there's just so much that happened that I don't know, part of me feels like I wish there was more, like a little bit more added to the story. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I saw your hand up. I was trying to. Okay, anybody burning to Shannon? Go ahead.
I think one of the themes for me when I was watching it was how harsh, the father's love is seen as. It's not very forgiving. It's not very movable. It is very rigid. Which is why, again, I said I really loved how Mary was in the scene with them when they decide to run. It was almost like she was saying, you have my permission, you need to be free. And then all the beautiful moments they have with mothers, where the mothers are the comfort, and they're like, hey, let's, you matter. And so I don't know exactly what that theme is there with parental love and putting that with God and Mary and all of this, and seeing that also with their ideas of who their parents were as well.
I think the only father that got reprieve from that was thought-provoking father, right? In the end. Mm-hmm. Because again, you want to go see some people you don't actually know, baby, because you're a baby and they're gone. And all, you know what I'm saying? I felt very visceral about the fact that he didn't know who his parents were. And nobody was teaching him. It took Auntie Leck to tell him who his parents were. But they let him have that idea of going to heaven to meet them. That part. Sorry.
I felt some kind of way about that a little bit, as though, because I don't want to gloss over the fact that was that felt manipulative to me, and I'm not going to act like it didn't. That felt like, here's a tool to latch him in to this belief structure in a way that keeps him a good little Catholic.
100%.
I just keep bringing this back. If he starts to stray. Now, it might not have been in a mean way or I'm an evil Christian doing this thing, but it was happening, and it was definitely happening from the priest. And so that felt very constant to me. Go ahead, Bear.
I was like, I didn't know. But I want to bounce off of what Shannon said, because I noticed that too. After the Mary, they go to the Mary statue, then they see the auntie, and then they see Barf's mom, and I found that very interesting. And it was all like every person after that was like very like kind and caring.
And feminine.
Yeah,
That was because to
something they
me, the
needed.
priest, yeah, the priest to me was Tanlok's father. That's why I kept going back to him. He
Yes.
needed his dad's approval. And that's why I kept screaming, because I was like, the priest can't break away from being a priest to be your dad. And so I was like, in confession, he's a priest. He can't, even if he might want to comfort you, even if he might want to do this, he's a priest first, which comes back to, do you love God more than you love me?
To your point, Shannon, Max pointed out the way, for us who don't know Thai, the way Tanrak was referred to himself in the confessional was as a child to their father. So even his language changed. He, throughout the series, he referred to himself in the more, normal way with the pronouns or whatever. But when he got in the confessional with the priest, he used child father terminology. So it really drove home that he saw the priest as his father.
Yeah. I think it also hits really hard to me because I kept screaming, I'm like, these are kids. We went through a lot of stuff when we were kids. I'm like, you can't put this on children. Like, just because when they're trying to figure out what they're going to do, and the priest is like, oh, it's your choice. I'm like, it's not their choice. They're kids. Like, they have no housing. If they lose the scholarship, where do they live? How do they finish school? What money is there? Is no choice.
Yeah.
Like, it's so all, and even if the priest is doing something kind by taking in kids who like don't have other places to go or are lost, it still is creating an environment where there isn't choice.
Anli?
I was gonna say my takeaway from this, although I am Christian and I have very strong Christian beliefs, my takeaway from this was that your relationship with God or a higher being is possible without anyone else's say in it. Like at the end of the day, you believe what you believe, you love who you love, because I've been taught that, not taught. When I went to college and learned about other religions outside of Christianity, I realized that we all want the same goal, right? To love other people and to be kind to other people and take care of other people. So regardless of if you call yourself a Christian or whatever, the goal is hopefully to be kind to other humans and care for other humans. And so to love yourself is to love others and live in love. And so that was what I felt at the end of this, that he didn't have to be a part of organized religion to be a good person and to love his partner and to be an effective member of our world, society, humanity. That was the beautiful thing that I took from this.
Anybody else? Anyone else? Or we can jump in early to the audience. That would be cool too. Let's get to the live stream. Hey, y'all. Hey. Yay, Amanda. Yay.
Okay. Are you ready for questions?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Everyone, this is Amanda, who's been our moderator. See their beautiful face.
So, Kiki asked, I wonder if the way that Tanrak's story played out was influenced by the fact that there was, although a minority religion in Thailand, do you all feel like there would be more impact if Catholicism was a larger religion in Thailand, or if this was placed in a different country?
Ooh.
I would say yes, and yes, it would be more impactful, I think, for Thai audience if there was a larger footprint of Christianity in Thailand. I do think it would so be interesting if this was a Korean story. I think it would hit so different in that space. I'm not sure about other Asian
What about
countries.
Italy? Right?
I'm
just thinking a Catholic.
Yeah, like I was saying, other Asian countries, I'm not sure about. And actually, you're right. Korea is not Catholic per se, but yeah,
Maybe
I
like
don't
the
know.
Philippines. But then
Oh, the
Yeah.
Philippines.
Yeah,
This had a
Philippines is
massive
one of the largest
Filipino.
Catholic
Yeah,
Yeah.
populations
I was
in the
about to say
world.
that. Yeah.
That's
Um,
actually I was speaking to a Filipino fan, and they were talking about how this show was being like received there because you cannot even get a divorce in the Philippines because the Catholic Church has such a influence over everything.
Yeah, we have a lot of Filipinos in this area, and that's where I've learned the most about Catholicism.
Me too.
It's from
Yeah.
my Filipino friends. Yeah.
Oh, I lost
Cool.
what I was going to say. It was about the religion and oh God, what was the? Okay, it's gone. Damn it! I had something else. I was going to talk about one of the person we discovered this week.
Yes.
So something really fascinating that happened. We had a Thai person come across. We had done like a clip of our reaction where we were all crying when the mother said, "I love you more than God," and this person, straight man, not into BL, not religious, saw this clip and was like, I'm fascinated by, first of all, international people being this invested in a Thai show. I'm also someone who saw BL as something very whatever, because I've tried to tell everyone BL is not fully accepted in the general population. I need people to understand that. And then, also like interested in the religion piece of it. So although it's not a heavily Christian or Catholic country, I think the curiosity has made it a talking point for everyone. I think because it's not something they're well versed in, it is fascinating. Their takeaways confuse me sometimes, but it's fair. They're not connected to Christianity or Catholicism in the same way as some of us. So of course they're going to view everything very differently. But I do think it, oddly enough, in this very circular way, we brought this very straight Thai, non-Catholic Christian man to be like, I guess I should check out BL.
I think the mama plays a role too, because the actress that played mom is she's important in Thailand. So
and beautiful. Oh my God.
That particular clip I've never gotten that many views, likes on a clip before, and a lot of Thai people are in my comment section, and they're like, oh,
they love that
amazing.
actress.
Yeah,
okay.
They love her.
I also think the story would have been different if it took place in a different country, like you were saying, like say Italy or somewhere, because they would not have had anywhere else to go. Like Thailand itself is much more accepting of queer identities and relationships and so on in general, that they were able to get outside of the church and find a community, find a life, and so on. But like say if this took place somewhere else, they may have still had each other, but just been living very secretly.
That kind of reminds me of the show. Is it Scam?
Scam.
Yeah, and I watched every version of season 3.
Me too.
Except for America, I'm not. No.
That was terrible.
I remember seeing the Italian one. I'm pretty sure it was the Italian one, and it was pretty much like secret, like just keep it under wraps, like don't tell nobody. And it was just different seeing like each place is based in how people reacted to the things.
Point.
Yeah.
I didn't. For those of you who don't know, Scam was a skin. Oh no!
It was like Norwegian. Yeah,
Norwegian.
That was I think that was the original one I saw. The one from Norway.
Yeah, and so it was specifically Norwegian for Norwegian people, and it became so popular that other countries they sold the rights for other countries to tell the same story, but influence it with their what was true in their country, right? And so to Barry's point, how sexuality was accepted, how the characters dealt with that coming out story is very different based on the country. And I don't think I fully conceptualized that piece till you said it, that what's accepted in the country really played a role into that.
I do want to say this is specifically season 3 because each season is different and different characters. Yeah. And I remember one of them, I think it was, what is it? I don't remember if it was like Russian or something. I don't know. No, probably not Russian, but
No,
like
no,
whatever.
no.
I forgot which one it was, but there was a first trans character, I believe, in that one, which was really
Yes.
interesting.
Is that German? Was it Germany? I can't remember the
I think
country.
it
That was
might have been
it's
Germany.
so good. It's so good. Anyway, continuing back with
No,
Ticket to
well,
Heaven.
funny enough, in the Catholic Church, the German bishops are the most liberal. They're pushing for the most change. They want marriages. They want queer marriages blessed and to be had in the church. They've been pushing for it. They were threatened with excommunication.
Oh, Harper said that the mom from the Amwi that you were talking about is Buddhist, but got very interested in Christianity, playing that role. We can go to the next one, Amanda.
Awesome.
Question.
So, Not Sensical Me discussed how they're very interested about the ideas of the mixed reviews of the show. Obviously, on my drama list, it does have a 0.9, but as we've seen a pretty large distinction between Thai and international fans and those who have experienced religious trauma and non-religious trauma. As you guys all are very varied in the way that you've kind of seen your experiences, but a lot of you guys are Christian. Do you feel like that impacted the way that you viewed this show? I'm putting this in two separate ways.
Yeah.
I'll go as because I think I come from a unique space of being historically Christian and Christian today, but actually in as a family makeup for my immediate family. My husband is agnostic, and my kids, I've let them be free to choose the religious spaces that they would like to inhabit. And so coming from those places, I don't think that the Trump, for me, I wanted to say this, but I didn't have an opportunity. For me, this is a story about loneliness at the end of the day. So the idea that you're in a school, a boarding school, so you're alone, you have no, family is gone, you're alone, right? And even the idea of God who's supposed to be with you all the time makes you feel lonely to a certain extent because you have to do all these things to keep that singular person who's supposed to be with you all the time. And so coming from that was the space that I came from, which is like being, coming from a place where God is love in my upbringing, and the idea that it doesn't come through in the way in the initial depictions of what religion and God and faith should be within the parts of this, and just this lonely story, and then Bart coming into this lonely story and making it less lonely for Tanrak. So that was kind of how that's what I took away from the story in general, how it hit me.
I thought it was interesting because on the onset, we all know how everybody kind of reacted to the trailer. Did I freeze?
Nope, you're good.
Did I freeze?
No,
okay.
you didn't.
How everyone, you guys did for me. How everyone reacted to the trailer and how everyone had a very strong kind of stance on what their expectation was. And this is just happening to me in BL overall. People see a poster and a trailer and they decide whether it'll be good or bad and what it must do to win their respect. And it's like the show doesn't have a chance to be itself anymore because there's this onset of like a lot of opinions and ideas based on very little to no information. And so for this, I felt like there were people, like you said, that were sitting in these camps and a lot of people who had very specific experiences that were like, if you don't make this sad, if you don't, you're lying, you're not telling the truth. And I think the difference now and then, and I think the only words, Kelly. I think the reason the reaction to it being less traumatic and not getting such a kickback from those same people is, and I think it was genius of him letting us know in the end, this is my story. So as much as people wanted it to be a specific way, you can't take away from someone else's truth. So in the end, although many of the themes are universal in a lot of ways, many people of different religions or different, specifically in Christianity, can relate to it. At the end of the day, it's still his experience. So you can't invalidate someone's truth. even though you may have had a very different truth in your life. So I think the two need to be able to sit. Then you're kind of forced to reconcile if these two truths can sit side by side. And I think that I saw people being more positive towards the ending than I personally expected, because I saw the very strong response at the beginning. But also there are people who still feel like that was too easy. You went too easy on it, you know? So I understand that. If that's your experience, I can understand being frustrated with that. So I don't know. Go ahead, Yoshi.
I should probably unmute. That's what I think. I think that people had such a, like, especially when it was happening, I do agree that it seems like people have kind of had a lot better reaction to the ending than I kind of expected them to. But I think that a lot of people had like mixed and negative reactions to it while it was happening, because a lot of them were like kind of wanted it to be like a takedown of the Catholic Church. They wanted it to be a hit piece. They wanted it to be, this is how awful it is being religious. This is how awful it is being raised religious, because that's where their trauma lives and that's where they're coming from. Which I understand. Like, obviously, we all experience media through our own lenses, so like I understand that. But I think that it was very hard for people to reconcile those two worlds, where like, I want it to be this because this was my story, but also this wasn't my story, which I guess is literally exactly what you just said. Duh.
And the importance of letting those two things live in the same spot. I don't want to minimize somebody else's experience. And I don't even think Piaf was trying to do that, right? Because there are people who went through very deep, very harsh religious trauma. And that is to try to say that that's not a real thing would be awful. But also I think I talk about like activism, or not activism, but bravery. People always talk about they're too scared to tell this story or that story. And they usually think it's in that negative space or that really like salacious space. But I think this was brave to tell a story that didn't fit what we're used to in the framework of these stories. Was kind of revolutionary in a way. Okay, I'm talking too much. Somebody else. Go ahead.
What I found so interesting in this, though, was that they didn't, like I said, they didn't beat us over the head with a whole lot of negativity throughout this, but we felt it. Like we had that internal thing that told us this is going to happen next to this character, or this is what I expect will happen in this. And so there was no need to say all of that, because we already knew that existed in the world. And for it to come out the way that it did, we still experienced the trauma while watching it, right? Because we all felt those. I never went through a lot of the negative things that a lot of people I know went through, but I know that they went through it. I'm close to folks that went through it. So I felt that was coming down the line the entire time watching this. So it was a beautiful release when we got to see another ending from what we thought was coming. But I don't think the trauma was ever ignored, even though it wasn't, we weren't beat over the head with it. I feel like we still experienced it throughout this series. And that's what I think was beautiful, that people got to maybe have some kind of release that we haven't been given in any other series up until now. So I don't know where I was going with that, but that's what I felt going through this.
Did you want to move on, Amanda, or were there other questions?
You looked like you had something else. I saw some comments that looked interesting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Perfect. So also, just as a quick, let's run down the line, just because they asked. Out of a scale of 10, what would you guys all rate the series in total? Let's start with you, Kelly.
Oh boy, I'm just gonna say 10, just because I don't know what more they could have done with it for me to make it better. If I look at it in those terms, I don't know what else they could have done to make it better, except make it longer. But I don't think longer is always better, so I'm gonna stick with what they did.
Perfect. Nikki?
I'm going to go with 9.5 because there's always room for improvement. But cinematography, period, just that alone, this is a 9.5. Like, the visuals were 100% giving. And yeah, I think 6 was a sweet spot. It didn't need to be longer for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was no more story to tell. That was enough. Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
Kelly asked this question prior to this, and I said 10,000. The end.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Say that again.
She said 10,000. The end.
She's a
Oh, okay. I like totally did that.
Yeah, that was me.
Awesome. Shannon?
I would say probably from like a 9 to a 10. And this is personal preference. It would have soothed something in my soul, and I recognize this is not my story being told, but if one of the adults in this situation had been cussed out.
I love it.
Awesome. Barry? Oh, Barry, you're muted, by the way.
I definitely think like a 9.5 through 10 because I would like a little bit more, honestly, because I really like it. But other than that, I do think it's also fine as like the 6-part series, and it was really good. So I definitely give it 10, especially like you said, Nikki, about the cinematography it was amazing.
Awesome. Yoshi?
I'm where Kelly is. It was 10 for me. I don't know what they could have done better. It was shot beautifully, it was acted beautifully, it was written beautifully. Like I think that it was as long as it needed to be. I am always a girly who's gonna love more episodes, but in this one instance, I'm like, I don't know what else we could have put in here. I think we got exactly what we needed, except maybe the priest getting punched. But
Love you, Yoshi.
I'll give you that one, Shannon. I'll give you that one. Like I just, it was just a solid 10 out of 10 for me. It was just, yeah, that's where I'm at. 10 out of 10. No notes.
Perfect. Yeah, I understand. And then Jaime?
Yeah, I think I'm in the 10 range for sure. I think like the way they did religion in this really hit close to what the Catholicism was, especially in the imagery and the way that it really foreshadowed Tanrak's journey through that. And then Fourth and Gemini and just their acting was
She's
beyond. And yeah, then you get cinematography and all that. Then it was just like layers upon layers of awesome.
I totally understand and agree. Also, Shannon and Jaime, you guys mentioned during the confessional scenes, both like the two with the father and the confessional of Barth and Tonrak during, the end of the bathroom. As we know, the confessionals are really just Roman Catholic and Anglican, and then certain High Lutheran churches. Do you feel like your experience with Catholicism changed the way that you saw that, and do you see a further meaning with it?
I could go. Yes, Barth never went to confession. So that was really huge for me. He never went in there. And that's why I said from the beginning, he knew who he was. He had accepted it. Tonrak was his light, and this life was his, his joy. And I think from his life, he had, so much reason to find joy in all of this. And so the fact that the confessional was such a thing of anxiety and fear and all of that for Tonrak, and he was the only one going into it, really spoke to me because I relate both Barth and Tonrak, and I just found out I have OCD. Shocker! It involves religion. I used to do this thing where if I had a negative thought, I would say 3 Hail Marys. That was my thing to try and stop myself from having negative thoughts. I did this as a child through adult. And then I was like, oh, I have to go to confession. Like, I have to do this. I need to do this. And it's very anxiety inducing. So to see Barth never step in there was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I don't believe I connected that dot. Thank you, Shannon. Okay.
Yeah, I think like the confessional aspect of things was as intense as they made it. I think those feelings, like Shannon said, are like what you feel when you go in, because you're confessing to something wrong that you did, right? So you're like telling someone that's higher up in the hierarchy of things of like, this is what I did. What can I do to redeem myself? And then they give you the task of like, you need to do 10 Hail Marys, you need to blah blah, and it's like, okay. So yeah, I just remember when I was younger going to confessional, and especially when it came to finally being like, I might like men. And the priest being like quiet for a really long time. And then I was like, I'm kidding. That's not what I meant. Because it was,
Because
yeah,
the
it was,
confessional's
No,
very
I
good
could
at joke.
Oof.
Oh, that's hard.
I think we all just
Awesome.
collectively went, oh no. I saw Kelly and at least one other person go, oh.
Mm.
yeah. So it was,
Oh, Yoshi,
so
I'm about to put you on the spot, so don't you worry. Yoshi, you discussed during multiple parts of your analysis of this and while we've talked, your experience of not only the religion being just something that's in your life, but also part of your community. And a big part of this discussion was once they leave this community, as Shannon stated, they are not only without resources, they're without community as a whole, right? When you looked at that in your own personal experiences, do you feel like that was something that was well exhibited in the story?
Yeah, so my journey kind of with like having a community was until like 26 or 27 was just into my entire community was church. I I was having health issues, so my entire community was I was in the house all week. I left the house once a week to go to church. After church, we went to lunch. After lunch, we went to the pastor's daughter's house, and we were there until 10 p.m. Like, that was my entire community. When I kind of started stepping a little bit outside of that community, I was when I started. Basically, I had an issue with my eyes. I told myself if I come back from this, if I have any ever again have any kind of sight, I'm going to find people like me. I'm going to because those things had always been inside of me. I've been dealing with having these feelings since, I remember liking, Derek in fifth or in elementary school. Like that those have always been inside of me, but I was not ready to acknowledge them until I came to a point where I was like, "Oh, I might be locked into this for the rest of my life because I will be entirely dependent upon it for the rest of my life." Because I was in a place where I was like, "I might be. This might be the time. This might be the when I lose my eyesight." So I came back and I was like, "I really want to learn how to play D&D," and I searched a group out and I found this lovely, accidentally little queer community through it. It's how I met my roommate, who is a lesbian. It's how I met my like two closest personal friends who are both like pan and non-binary. Like that is how I found my community. And now I look back and I think how much of not me I was during those years. How much of the Yoshi that I am was not exhibited, was not expressed when I was in that community. And I have family who is still very religious. My parents go to church every Sunday. And when I go back into that space, I go back into the closet. It is exhausting. It is physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting. I went maybe less than a month ago because it has been a month since Father's Day. I went to church for Father's Day, and as soon as I walked in, I felt myself get smaller, which is hard to do because I'm a big guy, like physically and like I'm loud. I just am. So like going back into that space and having people come up to you and like express that they've missed you and they love you and they're so glad to see you. And just having that thought in the back of your mind going, would you though if you know who I am? Would you though if you knew that I lived with a lesbian? Would you though if I told you that the way I make my money is by watching boys kiss professionally? Like, would you still miss me? Would you still be glad to see me? So I think that one of the things that actually actively healed something for me in this show was the reconciliation that maybe I can still have a relationship with not necessarily the community of the church, but like what the church represents. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, guys, that puts us at our last section, which will be our lightning round. I'm going to facilitate this one to make it a little bit faster. We're going to start with Jaime and we're going to go up to Kelly and then we're going to go all the way back down. Ready?
Okay.
One word for the series. Go.
Emotional.
Yoshi?
Who's next?
Oh, I thought we were going to Kelly next.
Oh, no.
No, snake.
Snake.
Oh, snake. Okay. One word for the series, hopeful.
Awesome, Barry.
Beautiful.
Shannon?
Relief.
Healing.
Enigmatic.
Big words.
Loving.
I feel like my word of the series was visceral. Not going to lie to you. Okay. Favorite episode of the series?
Episode 3.
Kelly?
Oh, wait.
Oh, me.
We'll go
Me.
snake up and snake down.
I
Yeah,
was going
you're
to say
going first.
episode 3. Episode 3.
Is
Nikki?
it 2 or 3 with the bathroom scene? Is it 3? It's 3.
It's
Two.
3.
2.
It's 2?
Which
There's
bathroom?
2 bathroom scenes. Which one?
Yeah,
Singular Tanrak
Two.
bathroom scene. 2.
that's
2.
2. Yeah.
The last app, because Auntie Lek, prison, all that, barth praying.
Shannon?
5.
Barry?
The last one.
Yoshi?
Also 5.
I was early. Episode 3 or 6.
Mine would be
Can I
4.
ask real
So I
quick
guess
what-
we're across the board.
Can I ask what happened in 5 that made 5? I know it's a lightning.
You're breaking the rules.
I'm so sorry. What happened in 5 though?
Everything. All the
Episode
bad
5 is
things.
the discussion.
Oh, okay.
the main confessional.
Got it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Overall, who is your favorite character? That starts with Jaime.
Tanrak.
Yoshi?
Also probably Tanrak.
Tanrak.
5.
Tanrak.
I'm a Barth stan.
Barth.
Wait, I mixed them up. I meant Barth.
Mine would be Tanrak as well. Awesome. Does anyone have a favorite quote? Jaime, you go first.
I love you more than anything.
Yoshi?
Oh God, I'm trying to. It's the one I said earlier. I'm not God's favorite son either. It hits me every time I get emotional.
Kelly. The one where the same thing as Jaime.
Awesome. Shannon?
I think one of my favorite quotes is Barth saying, like, "Why are you running from yourself?"
Yes. That's an awesome quote. I'm with Yoshi.
I'm actually with Bart's I'm not God's favorite because it's just that full self-realization. He knows who he is when he says it.
It's not verbatim, but I know the answer to the story now. I know who the liar is.
Mine is that final episode. I do miss it, but I don't regret it.
Oh, that's a really good one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I made notes. Let's put it that way. Awesome. What is your biggest surprise? We'll start with Kelly.
Oh boy, Auntie Lek. Did not see Auntie Let coming.
Mhm.
I think Bart's backstory was a surprise for me because I didn't know any of that. I just thought, he was gay and that was a problem.
Same.
Was Hemlock getting out? I was
yeah.
not confident until it happened.
Mhm.
I want to say Barf's backstory and Tonrock's dad's kind of story.
I'm also kind of I didn't see Anti-Lec coming. I did. That was a beautiful surprise.
I think for me it was him actually opening the door and stepping through it when they said, "I'm not God's favorite son either."
Yeah,
That
that discussion of doors is super important.
threw me off. I was like, "Whoa."
I think mine was that the first crucifix that did not have blood was the one at the prison. And that was when Barth decided to truly find himself within. Anyways,
Oh.
guys,
Yeah.
yeah, my video goes out. Yeah. What is your favorite soundtrack moment? Let's start with
Soundtrack?
Jaime for this one.
When they did the music video first one, I think anyone really, they broke it down to their beautiful moments. So I think the first one that happened when it was showing the flowers, when he gave him a flower each time.
Oh yeah.
Yoshi?
I don't know that I have one. There's not really one that jumps to mind. I'm sorry.
No, he's very sorry. Barry?
I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of the scenes where they were at the hotel, like the sex hotel thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Was it the moment of Tonrak by himself or was it the moment of them together?
Oh, it was I kind of say both, but definitely the one when he was by himself.
Very impactful, yeah. Shannon?
As for soundtrack, the one for me would be in the grotto with the Marion statue. The music was really intense. You were feeling where Barth was coming from. And then it just it was so beautiful hearing it and then how it devolves from there.
Can you believe that
I'm
was
gonna say-
Q1? Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I don't even know how.
I'm gonna say all the ones where we were like, they're gonna do a music video now, and we were dogging them out, but they were really important, and we really enjoyed them. So yeah, every single OST was
montage. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll double down on that. Yeah, because I was alone watching it and going, "Oh, here's what the OST is." Okay, hey, but they, to your point, all meaningful.
Awesome.
I'll do two because the thing that I wasn't expecting with those OST moments, the moments they showed us were not moments we'd seen before. So unlike other shows where it's just flashbacks, these were flash news where we were we didn't see them do these things. So it was almost like discovery in those moments, which I think made it better than what we typically see in those kind of moments. And then I will say the opener choral music, because to hear Thai singing in this very Christian choral sound it was unexpected. And I actually watched some Thai reactors. They're I forget what that group is called, but they're writers and directors and stuff. And they were talking about it. And many of them also grew up in Christian school. And they were saying, we sang these songs. They said they were freaked out. It was like a out of body experience to hear that at the opening of a BL. They said it tripped them all the way out. So I thought that was a really interesting choice.
Awesome. And then finally, would you recommend it?
Oh, it's
Kelly,
yes. 1,000% yes. But
yes,
be prepared.
100. Yes.
Yes.
I don't even know if you need to be prepared. Just watch.
Depends on your background.
It's beautiful, and the story is impactful, and yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, and I
Shannon?
have. Yes.
I say yes, but be warned that there is religious trauma and abuse. So, yeah.
Yoshi?
Yes, but only if you've like actively started a little bit down your deconstruction path.
Yeah, I'm with everyone. Yes, for sure. I know some people needed the ending first to jump in, so I'm glad those people are jumping in to kind of see what they're bringing.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Kelly, that brings you to final thoughts.
Final thoughts in closing. I want to just thank everybody. I want to do a huge thank you to all of the people on the panel here. Just as I know I have always kept diverse people in my life, but even just in this group, which is like-minded in so many ways, just to hear I learned something about all of you just in this conversation. And I really respect the fact that we do not have to be the same. We do not have to come from the same place to still enjoy and commune together. I think that's super special. And I think it's special that BL kind of brought this grouping together. And I think we're lucky to get shows like this. I know there's a lot of talk around BL, the state of BL today, is it this, is it that? And I think shows like this really prove this. And I think of The Sign as well, that, and even for Thai people to see that there are these other places that BL is going to, that I don't even think anyone could have prescribed in 2013, when we were watching not Love by Chance, whatever was out in that time, early BL. I don't think early BL viewers, and I think about that Thai person who watched us, could have seen it coming to this place and it being something where Piaf can share his story and have actors capable of telling it, and have a team capable of bringing it to life in this way. It's the right time for that. So yeah, just thank you everyone for participating in the comment section. Thank you guys for showing up and spending time with us. We hope to do some more of these in the future. It won't be every podcast, okay? But when there's exciting topics that we think you all would like to participate in, we really hope to do that. Please follow, subscribe. That feels weird, but do that. We have a lot of really interesting stuff coming for What My Sister Said in the future. So stay tuned for that. We are, as Nikki said, taking this more seriously now. So with that, be ready for what that looks like with a bunch of borderline type A sisters. I'm the most type A, I think he is. Ami, you're not as type A, but you're big picture. So it all works. But there's more to come. And then also, please follow the socials of everybody here. They all make amazing content on their own. And just, I'm so lucky to have such smart and interesting people in my life. It makes me emotional and happy, and yay. Okay, I don't, the end. No. Thank you everyone for joining. Oh, go ahead.
I did forget to put my socials on my thing, but I'm Barry_BL_pie.
Oh, and also just for those who showed up in our reactions and were in our comment section, that is probably one of the most intelligent, interesting, introspective comment sections I've ever encountered. You guys are freaking brilliant and beautiful human beings. It reminds me of the burnout syndrome days where just I'm so the BL gets a bad rap. I think the people who participate in, watch, we get to reduced to less than what I think we really are. And you guys are proof of just the expansiveness of the audience of BL, and it's super impressive. And you guys are so smart, and I like you so much. All right.
Thank you to everybody that hung out today.
Yes,
in our chat today.
Yay! Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Please follow, subscribe, and review our podcast everywhere on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We will see you next time on What My Sister Said.